What a guan, everybody. What a guan. Wonderful Wednesday to everybody. Wonderful Wednesday. Happy hump day. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Got a great show for you guys today. Difficult question. Is obesity a choice? Do we have a choice in the matter? Or is it out of your control, right? We got a deep question. Just that single question to answer today. Hello, I am Alex Watt. Welcome to the show. Hello, Igwe's daughter. Hello, Skincare Do's and Don't. Hey, Sec Amethyst, peace. Who else we got? Hello, D.I. Grifton, Positive Therapist. Welcome to the show. Hey, hey, hey. All right, so we're going to get right into it.
Topic about obesity, and I think I had originally made a post and it said obesity is a choice, and a lot of people, it was very controversial. A lot of people were saying, you know, I agree with you. A lot of said you disagreed, and after reading all the comments, and I think you wrote a comment on that, I had to change my mind because I could see at birth you're perhaps not born obese and then you become obese, but it's you're a baby, you're a child, your parents are feeding you, you don't know what you're doing. And so
this is a very good point, right? Studies show if you grew up in a household where your parents are obese or fat, there's a good chance you're going to be fat as well, right? It's not an accident when you see these families where the parents are big, that the kids are big. Because if you think about it, it makes sense, right? The parents are big, they're eating terribly, probably not that active, so you're setting a poor example for the kid. Worst of all, studies show if you grew up as a fat kid, it's even more difficult as an adult to lose weight than if you were slim, became an adult, and got fat to lose weight. I know that sounds like a lot right there, but essentially, if you're born and you're in an environment where you're fat as a kid, it's going to be much more difficult as an adult to not be fat. You just might have been unlucky in the environment you grew up in, unfortunately.
So it's not fair to say that somebody who's a kid growing up is obese and blaming them. So I don't think that becoming obese is a choice, but I do feel that remaining obese, once you know what you can do, once you understand calories in, calories out, and that you can lose weight through diet and cardio, of which we've talked about today.
This is a great point. It may not be your choice to become obese, right? Especially in the kid situation. If the kid is being fed McDonald's all the time, what does the kid know, right? But you do have a choice to not remain obese, right? You can simply put down the fork. You can put it down. Takes like a second, 2 seconds to put it down, right? You can go for a walk. You can become more physically active. There are choices you can make. Go to the gym, hire a personal trainer like me. There are many, many things you can do, right?
I think that obesity is a choice at that point. And what is your feelings on that statement?
Yeah, so to go back to kind of like as you're a kid. So yeah, so through life, the way that I describe it is that we kind of go through it passively. You're a kid, you're just getting fed whatever's in front of you, right? And some of my patients describe themselves as I was always a little bit heavier as a kid, and that kind of predisposed them to this life. And then they come to me and go, I want to do something about it. Most people go through life passively, subconsciously. The choice isn't like, do I want to have obesity or not? It's more like, I just want to not be hungry. I just want to have some pleasure here. I want to be.
He raises a good point when he says most people just go through life passively. This is true. They just wake up every morning, do the same stuff, the same things, etc., etc. You know, if you want, you can just get in your car tomorrow and drive to Alaska if you want. I know that sounds impossible, but literally, you can literally get in your car tomorrow and drive to Alaska. It's feasible. You may not want to do this, but you could do this if you wanted to. But most people just go through life passively.
Out of pain, whatever. That's the immediate choice. And in fact, it's funny on those posts, there are people coming on like, well, I believe it's a choice. I lost 100 pounds or whatever, and that's because I chose to do so. And I'm like, yeah, but did you choose to be that way in the first place? And they go, it's a good point. So then whether it's a choice to remain that way, I think we kind of get into what we talked about before. You have to make the choice to attempt it. Nobody can do it for you, right? It's you got there passively, as I mentioned before, whether it's subconsciously or just not a priority, whatever. You have to make the choice to do something about it. Now, whether you're going to be successful or not, I can't say, because as you mentioned before, some people just feel miserable when
So one caveat here, so I'm going to slightly disagree with him. When he says you can't say whether you can be successful or not, you can increase the odds of you being successful, right? If you want to get better at saying playing basketball and you just randomly dribble a basketball by yourself, yeah, you'll get better. But if you ask that guy or lady who's good in basketball to give you some tips, you can get even better. Watch some YouTube videos on that. Go try it for the team. Get some coaching, right? You can do things to stack the odds in your favor. And remember, I always said the two things that held me back when I was fat: ignorance and arrogance. Because that pride is still the first deadliest sin. Think, oh, I can figure this all out on my own. Maybe, probably not. Otherwise, you wouldn't be fat if you could figure it out on your own, right? So you should probably get some assistance. You don't know what you don't know. Some of the things you do know probably aren't correct. And you don't even know what you don't know. So again, you probably should get some assistance.
And they're trying to resolve their obesity. So let's take an extreme example. Someone who's 400 pounds, they lose 150 pounds, which is amazing. They get down to 250 pounds and they still technically have obesity. Are they choosing to still have that? And they're working tooth and nail to stay there. The analogy would be like, I wrote this down before we got on our talk here, but if you're going from New York City to LA, let's say, some people can fly there on a plane, some people can drive, some people can bike, and other people have to walk. Technically, to get there, it's a choice, right? Like the person can walk there. It's a choice, but practically for many people, it's maybe not a choice. I don't know how.
Well, he raised a good point there. It's obviously going to be way more difficult to get from one city to another if you're walking, right? But it's also a matter of how badly do you want to get there, right? I mean, in my case, I was pre-diabetic, so I really wanted to lose the weight and I wanted to get muscle. So how badly do you want to get this muscle, right? I heard a cool story. This guy, what motivated him to get muscle, he said when he was in high school, this girl he had a crush on, she wanted him to throw her in the pool, some pool party. So he lifts her up and he got to the edge. She's like, stop. And he's like, what? She's like, you're shaking so much, you're vibrating. I don't feel safe having you throw him in the pool. And he said that motivated him to go to lift weights to get strong, right? Different strokes for different folks. The point being, he was this really skinny kid, but determination. It's just like when you have to study for an exam, right? The harder you studied, the more you prepared, the better your grades were. It's just a matter also of how badly do you want it. So if you really want to walk from one city to the other, you will eventually get there. You may just have terrible genetics, born in a bad situation, what have you, but you still have a choice. At the end of the day, you still have a choice. Some choices are just more difficult than others.
Else to describe it than that. Like we can, I think we have a lot of control over our behaviors, but like say when you get really hungry and tired and you get home from work and you're trying your best. Your life is hard. Your hormones, like when you're trying to diet down, you're super hungry and craving food. You technically have the free will to eat whatever's in your cookbook, Coach Greg. What's in your cookbook? You got some chicken, broccoli, some better
protein ice cream. And I know you're against ice cream. I've seen some of your memes on the low-fat ice cream. Like he hasn't tried my ice cream. I'm
going to try it. You have to. But like, yeah. So you technically have free will, but some people will argue that because of the way our body's getting nudged, you're getting just kind of shoved in one direction. You technically have the ability to eat whatever you want, right? But our body's just kind of pushing us towards a different way. So like it's a behavior. It doesn't directly control the scale. It just has an indirect effect on the scale.
So he's kind of implying to me that behaviors can be changed, but we know that the science is clear. You can change habits. You can change behaviors. There are people who are incredible procrastinators early in their lives and know they're gurus on time management. This is real. This is not fake. They tell you this, right? So they train themselves. They change their behaviors. Where they need to see a therapist, get a coach, what have you, read a book. Habits can be changed. This is true. I mean, you're a product of your environment and your genetics, but you can change. You can change things, right? They've shown it with identical twins. One twin has diabetes, heart problems, a whole bunch of crap. The other twin didn't. One twin lived a certain life, the other one lived a different life. They both grew up in the same house together, high school together. I think they even went to the same college together, right? So there is always a choice at the end of the day.
I would argue it's not a choice, but the attempt to lose weight and resolve your obesity is a choice. It sounds like semantics, but I think it's an important distinction, because I just think for some people, it's not really a choice. I think some people that were chiming in like, screw you, where'd you get your medical degree? A Cracker Jack box? And I lost 200
That was funny.
pounds and I did it fine. I'm like, yeah, no, that's great. I have patients that have done that, and it's wonderful. I have other patients that I have to put them on medicines and they had surgery. And even some of those patients, they don't do well. And it's like, are they choosing? I don't know. I don't know how else to answer it, because I don't think they tell me they don't want obesity anymore. And it's like, well, I don't think they're choosing obesity. I think they're kind of nudged in a different direction. I don't know how else to describe it.
Well, I think that I would respond by saying, for example, if I want to have more muscle, if you're just a normal person, you don't train, if I want to have more muscle, I could say having more muscle is a choice. And they say, well, I don't have really great genetics. I'm skinny, fat. I don't have a lot of muscle. But I'll be like, but if you join the gym and train, say 3-4 days a week, you're probably going to put on a couple pounds of muscle. You might not put on 50 pounds and look like a bodybuilder, but you can certainly choose to build more muscle. And so is obesity.
This is a very great point. I mean, most guys want muscles, but how many guys really work hard enough to get the muscles, right? Let's be real about this. They want the muscles. They show up to the gym occasionally. They don't go that hard when they're in the gym. They play around, they chit chat, blah, 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 blah. Endless amount of guys that were asking me, what was I doing? I would give them the information to my first coach, the bikini model, and she's smoking hot. So they would look at her picture and go, wow, she's beautiful. I'm like, yeah, she can help you get your muscles. You know what they would do? They wouldn't call. Not one single guy called her. None. Then when I had a guy coach, again, nobody called him either. Some people just don't want it badly enough.
Choice. Well, if you're overweight, you can certainly put the fork down, eat less, and exercise, and you will absolutely lose weight to the point of you will die of starvation, of anorexia, if you don't.
This is so true. I mean, think about it. If you're stuck on a desert island, right, you would lose weight. Guaranteed, you would lose weight. You'd have to be forced to forage, catch fish, hunt, chase things. There would be no fast food, no ice cream cake sandwiches for me. Probably no endless cherries for me, you know, my two big vices. So yeah, I would get leaner. Anybody would get leaner.
Don't eat anything. And if you exercise 10 hours a day, you will lose that weight. So you will, I think, no matter what, it is a choice. But to not hurt anyone's feelings, you have to say that choice for some people is such a difficult choice to try to make, because it's such an impossible uphill battle of suffering and feeling like crap, that it's not fair to just say, hey, it's your choice, you chose that. Because the suffering involved, because if I can get to 5% body fat.
I think you raise a very good point here. It's both such a difficult choice for some people that for all practical purposes, they don't make it. And it's also the politically correct thing to say at the end of the day.
And say they're year round. But there is no way I'd live my life like that. I'd probably kill myself. Like, it would just be that much of a nightmare. I would lay in bed all day and suffer and never eat, and just my life would be a miserable nightmare. And so some people, the 400-pound person, they might get to 250 and they're good. They did pretty good. They get to 220 and it's like, oh my God, they're hungry. They keep pushing and they get to 200, but their ideal weight is 150, and they're like, it's not worth it. And so I understand that because of the genetics and the food choices, and perhaps they don't have the education on what to eat, all these things, the underactive thyroid, all that, it's going to make it so hard to lose that weight.
All of those things are correct, but you notice all those things can be mitigated, right? Thyroid problems, there's medication, you can see a doctor. You don't know what to do, you can hire a coach. Again, somebody like me, right? You're watching this video, this helps. If you're clueless, there are things you can do to, again, stack your crappy odds more in your favor, right? Just like that old saying, don't go to a gunfight with a knife, or something like that, I think. You can do things to stack things in your favor. Okay, so I got super chats here. So the first one, I see Tamika. Thank you so much for the super chat. Hey, whether it's $500 or $1, I appreciate every super chat. I know it's your hard-earned money or somebody else's hard-earned money. So thank you so much. Tamika says, obesity is a choice. I decide what I put in my mouth daily. So do most overweight people. It is what it is. This is true. This is true. I mean, one of the texts I told you guys, I throw away things. You know, guys, you guys know I like ice cream cake sandwiches, right? Recently, down 2 pounds. I was 195 consistently, now 193 consistently. Why? I cut out the ice cream cake sandwich. It is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. I realized I was going ham on those ice cream cake sandwiches, man. 4 per night. Yeah, 4 per night. That's a lot, even for somebody who's active, lifts weights, blah, 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 blah. And I've been working out less recently. So I'm just lucky my metabolism is now so fast that I didn't get fat, right? Or put on some weight. It was steady 195. Anyway, once that money is spent, it's gone. It can't come back. You spend $5 for the pizza, $1. You ate half the pizza, throw the rest of the damn thing away. Do not rely on willpower. You know it's not going to work. It's never worked. That's why you're fat. If you weren't fat, that means it did work, but you're fat. So you got to acknowledge that what you're doing just doesn't function. Does not work. Does not work. Hey, got another super chat. Skincare do's and don'ts. Skincare do's and don'ts. Thank you so much as well. I appreciate it. I agree that staying obese is a choice. Everyone has the option to choose to engage in healthy behaviors so they're not putting themselves at risk for those preventable diseases related to obesity. This is true. Very good point. Very good point. I think I missed another super chat. Yeah. Hey, Igwe's daughter says, from a medical perspective, genetics can play a part in people's struggles with weight, such as slow metabolism or BMR. That's basal metabolic rate. That's how much calories you burn in a day just sitting on your butt, laying in bed. Great quote fits. While genetics can load the gun, environment and habits surely pulls the trigger. Yes, I believe I said that, or something like that. You might be misquoting me, Igwe's daughter. All right, let us continue.
That it's better for them to not keep losing weight. But if you're just basing it on semantics of the argument, because you can lose the weight if you're forced to with handcuffs and you can't eat, that it is a choice. It's just such an extremely difficult choice to make that it's not worth making that choice.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page there. So like that, yeah, it kind of goes back to the analogy. Like you can go from New York City to LA, but you have to walk. So that's your choice. So like, I think if we agree that that's the same like kind of choice, then I think we're probably on the same page there. Cause like, yeah, so, okay. So going back to your bodybuilding example. So if somebody wants, can somebody just be you if they choose to? I would say no. They can gain muscle though, right? They can gain muscle. That's their choice.
You see Greg look like Greg is like, they can't look like me. Greg is hilarious. He's like, no, they can't look like me. But he's nodding his head no. Yeah, they can gain muscle, but no, they can't look like me. Greg has elite level genetics. Elite. He has world records. The world is a very big place. The dude has world records. No joke, right? He's an IFBB pro. Only a handful of people on the planet can do what he's doing. Well, I mean, yeah, you get the point. You get the point.
Attempt to be like you is absolutely their choice. Can they be you? Probably not. Practically. I mean, I suppose they could choose and maybe use all sorts of, who knows what's out there right now.
They could use every drug in the world, go on all the bodybuilding programs, have the best coach in the world, the best diet, and 99% of people would never have the muscle mass that I have right now. It just
Greg shut that down real fast. He's trying to say, look, if you take the special supplements, PEDs that Greg has, you can look like Greg. No, you cannot. You cannot. Surely part of the reason Greg looks the way he looks is because he's taking steroids. He's admitted to this, right? He still had to go to the gym, lift weights, blood, know what the hell he's doing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And basically what he's saying, even if you did everything he did, it's like if we both train like Michael Jordan, can we jump from the free throw line? No, we cannot. It is what it is. He's got elite level genetics and he's taking all that extra stuff, right? Or used to at any rate.
It's just unfortunate. It's just genetics, but doesn't mean you can't improve yourself. That's all.
So
that's a key point. You can improve yourself. You don't need to look like a bodybuilder to look fantastic. Just look like you lift weights and you'll look great.
I think if we're kind of in agreement there, then that's hey, I think that's about right then. I think if people understand that concept, that how it becomes so difficult, it becomes practically not a choice, but like you still technically can. So here's an example. I had a patient that They had a gastric bypass. I put them on all the drugs in the world that are approved for weight loss, and just I hit their brain on different receptors with like, no, there's no way they have an appetite, and they don't. They told me that like I don't know. I got to stop. I can't stop buying candy bars at the pharmacy. And I was like, I don't know. And they've had psychologists and whatever. I don't know. I'm not sure how to. They have choice, but like for some reason they're driven to do that. And I don't know how to address that.
Well, I think it's no different than if you're an alcoholic, you have a choice to not be an alcoholic. You can literally stop drinking alcohol. And so we see sometimes people encouraging people to lose weight. And it was this story I watched the other day. And after the guy hit the plateau of 200 pounds, he bought him a huge cake, probably 2,000 calories, and like, let's celebrate. I'm like, that's like saying to somebody, let's take you off of alcohol and you're 30 days sober and let's celebrate with a beer. I'm like,
yeah, that makes absolutely no sense, right? You're just setting yourself up, the person up for failure. Why would you do this? You're carrying an alcoholic to go out and have a drink. I mean, people in reality most likely wouldn't do that, although they did in this case. But when people are losing weight, people try to sabotage you, not intentionally, but they'll offer you vices. You're there on your little diet, and they're offering you cake and candy and blah, blah. You're trying to explain to them, no, I'm cutting back on the candy, blah, blah, blah. It's where you just got to be strong and tell them no. Just politely tell them no.
Why would you reintroduce that same thing and use the reward? Use junk food, high calorie dense food as a reward for good behavior. I was just like, you're setting it up for disaster.
Yeah. So there are things in our brain that push us and drive us in a way. It's hard. I mean, I'm not a big time philosophy guy. It's just, I understand that this is a philosophical type of question. It'd be really interesting to have a discussion with a philosopher about that, about free will, about choice, and if our brains are wired. Here's another example. Okay, we say obesity. Let's say I'm like, obesity is not a choice. But if we took someone with obesity, let's say one of my patients, and we put them on a stranded island. This sounds like extreme, but it's true because it shows how powerful our environment is. And you're like, goodbye, and they're like, I have to survive, and they're going around having to fish and or hunt and gather berries and who knows, climb up in the trees and get freaking some sort of fruit and vegetables. They're going to lose weight. It's just going to happen. So like what I would say is that our environments kind of just drive us in a certain way, but like that's why it kind of.
So in this case, bring up the example I talked about with the desert island. You can replicate a similar effect in your household, right? If in your pantry you have terrible food items, in your fridge you have terrible food items, you'll eventually eat them. If you've already bought them, the money's gone. You need to just get rid of them, donate them, give them away. Or you have kids. The kids want the bad things, so you plan to raise your kids to get fat? Nope. The kids only eat what you give them. They don't have a car. They don't have a credit card. They will eat what you give them to eat at the end of the day. And everybody wants their kids to be healthy, want their young sons to be fit, handsome, their daughters, pretty, etc., etc., etc. You want to set them up for success later on in life, right? From a health perspective, etc.
It takes part of the choice out, but we still have free will. It's just really hard in our environment and with our biologies. That's kind of the gist.
Yeah, and so when I say obesity is a choice, I want to give power to the patient or the athlete, the person, because by saying, hey, it's genetics and it's your environment and all this, it kind of takes the power away from them, and they think, well, I have bad hormones, fat acceptance, just accept me for who I am, it's not my fault. And I'm like thinking, but if I tell you that you can do something about it, which you can, it gives you the power. And the more they learn, for example, they could get some medications, so it certainly can help. If you have an underactive thyroid or something to decrease appetite, it's good, fat burners, all this stuff can help decrease appetite. It's going to help you. If you get like my cookbook and learn about low calorie foods, learn what has high calories, what has low, make the substitutions, that's going to help. If you learn what triggers you, like if I have ice cream in the house, cereal, it's a night, I see it and I just want the whole thing. Like it's just a trigger for me. If you have triggers, get that food out of the house. Then people have chocolates and candies on their work desks. And I'm like, every day you're forcing yourself to use willpower to not eat that.
This is all things we've spoken about on the show before. You can't rely on willpower. You'll eventually crack. Everybody breaks on the torture. Everybody. CIA, the military, they'll all tell you nobody can withstand torture forever. It's only in the movies that they do this, right? Not in real life. You'll eventually dip into the cookie jar, grab some cookies or candy or whatever it is. You got to remove the temptation. Just can't have it there. Or you indulge for a while and then you get rid of the remainder container. If your pantry is filled with crap, you'll eventually binge on it. You might be the only person who know that you did it, but you'll still end up doing it, right? You'll just lie to people. Hell, maybe you'll lie to yourself, but those calories in, calories out. It's all about the laws of thermodynamics on this channel, as you know. We are a big believer in this, huge believer in this.
In this house, we obey the laws of thermodynamics.
And to those of you who think otherwise, I don't really care what you think.
It doesn't matter what you think.
It's another thing. And then you're going out with friends and stuff to bars, restaurants, and so on, and you're seeing what they do, and that encourages you to eat. That's another trigger. It's like you got to be careful. And the more you learn about what are your triggers, what are the environmental influences causing me to do that, what are the socioeconomic status of people like, I can't afford this, and then teaching them, well, actually, it's pretty cheap to buy a banana. You don't have to, like, when you learn all this stuff, you can absolutely make change. And the message I make, I don't know how many videos you've seen, but I keep preaching halfway there. It's not about being perfect. If you're let's say 400 pounds and your goal weight's 200, stop thinking 200, think 300. Because I say everybody can get halfway to that dream physique, that goal that people would say is ideal for healthy. Halfway there, that is going to make so much difference on your quality and quantity of life that why not go for it? Halfway there. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to get abs. Just try a little bit. Everyone can do that. And from there, once you're half.
I mean, everything you just said is 100% correct, right? It's very, very accurate.
Technically correct. The best kind of correct.
It's going to take a lot more effort. That's when the hunger and the suffering and all that stuff really starts taking over. The closer you get to your.
And that's a key point. That's when the hunger and the suffering starts taking over, right? I mean, it is what it is. Anything worth doing is worth overdoing. Every great accomplishment you've ever had in your life, you have to work for it. You have to work for it. I don't care what it is. Schoolwork, job, your postal, your stamp collection, whatever it is you did. You got great in some video game. You have to put in the work. You have to put in the effort, right? You have to make some kind of sacrifice, some kind of suffering. It is what it is.
Ideal physique, the closer or the further you get from your genetic set point, that's when things, the hormones, the ghrelin, all these things start kicking in.
Yeah, I like how you're empowering. So that's the thing. So when I posted this, people were like, "Man, this is kind of depressing." I'm like, "Oh, I don't like the post depressing stuff." They're like, "I feel like so I'm just kind of screwed." I'm like, "No, it's I'm trying to normalize how people like basically what you said. I have a lot of followers who have already gotten that halfway there. They're doing great, and it helped. I got an outpouring of messages from them, but then there were a lot of other people who were very angry and felt disempowered. But these other people that have been struggling, they felt heard and it normalized how they've done so well already. They're not going to get to that ideal weight or whatever body composition, but in my eyes, they've succeeded. They've done amazing, and they're feeling great. So it's really hard. It's kind of a dichotomous. It's a really splitting topic because like I want those people to know that they're heard and they're validated, but I also want to empower the people that feel like they don't have any choice in the matter. And when you make one post like that, it splits. It makes those people I want to empower not necessarily feel good, but it helps the people that have already come so far feel good. So then I have to make another post and try to explain it more. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I like what you discussed there. Yeah.
I think you need multiple videos because some people, if you cherry pick some of my videos, I'm going to look like a guy that just hates on anybody who's fat. You'll be like, what an asshole. He called people fat. Look at it. Oh, if you have abs, but if you look at my other videos, you pick my best 100, you're going to be like, this is the most caring guy about weight loss I've ever met. So it depends. What are you cherry picking from it? But if you have overall a message of like, I'm encouraging you to lose weight. I'm trying to motivate you to lose weight. I'm saying you don't need to be perfect. Let's try to get halfway there. And then I'm giving them the methods to do so by educating them. Then what else can you do?
Yeah, so we're going to stop right there. I think there's a great way that he ended it. So let's see. Let me guys know what you think. I'm curious to hear if anybody wants to call in. I've dropped the link again. So let me know. Let me go through the chat, see if there's anything else I missed. I don't think I missed any super chats today. So let's see. What have you guys been saying about the show? Hey, Needs Watches. Welcome to the show. Hello, Tony. Welcome to the show as well. D.I. Grifter says, motivation is my biggest problem. I have means and an opportunity to get fitter. Maybe I haven't suffered enough yet with my big belly. Get a coach. Get a coach. If you failed all these years to get it done on your own, what makes you think you're just going to magically figure it out on your own now? It's highly unlikely, right? Highly unlikely. Actually, I guess I did miss a super chat. Thank you. The positive therapist said, when we eat sweet foods, the brain's reward system called the mesolimbic dopamine system, so you get a dopamine rush, gets activated. Dopamine is a brain chemical released by neurons and can signal that an event was positive. Yes, sugar is the devil, man. Sugar is the devil. It's in so many products. You got to be careful with that sugar. Sugar will make you fat and mess other things up. Can mess so many things up. Positive therapist goes on to say, when the reward system fires, it reinforces behaviors, making it more likely for us to carry these actions again. And this is where the ignorance part is a problem, right? When you don't know what you're doing, when some of the things that you think are true are not, and when you don't even know what you don't know, and you're trying to diet or work out, and you get limited progress or no progress, you know what you're going to do? You're going to quit. You're going to quit. This is why you need a professional. I didn't transform by myself. I keep saying this. I did videos where I showed the pictures of my coaches. They look fantastic. They don't look good, or they look fantastic. This is why I hired them. And I look way better than I've ever looked before. It is what it is. And I'm 48. You can keep struggling by yourself, or you can get a professional to help you. Don't know what else to tell you, man. Don't be stubborn. You don't got time to waste either. If you're in your 30s or your 40s, every 6 months, year, 2 years that you waste, it's just gonna be that much harder. It's not gonna, sure as hell gonna be easier. And if you're a lady, it's doubly hard. I mean, you got a lot working against you, hormonally speaking. So yeah, I would get myself a professional coach if I were you struggling with a problem. Let's see. Positive therapist said, research shows that adults with high self-control are less likely to abuse alcohol and other substances, have better relationships, and fewer mental health problems. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, the problem is, again, you can't rely on willpower. Yeah, it's very difficult. The positive therapist raises a good point here. Think of willpower as a muscle. Just like any other muscle, willpower can be built up and strengthened with time and effort. Exercising your willpower may also make it less vulnerable to being depleted. This is true. It does become easier to resist over time, or resist a particular thing. This is true. I mean, I've noticed it with myself, right? At one point in time, I clearly had no resistance. That's why I got fat. No control over myself. All right, so drop the link. It looks like nobody wants to call in, and I've gone through all the comments. So we had a great show tonight. Hope you guys thought it was interesting. I thought it was a very good discussion. You know, it was both positive, both sides of the argument. Let's say, is it a choice? Is not a choice? I think it was a fair and open discussion. So anyways, see you guys on in the next show. Check out some of these other videos I'll be dropping, not my standard videos. They're going to be very interesting. You'll see the thumbnails look different, etc., etc. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. So later's my massive. Me I go long now. For those who don't speak Jamaican patois, that is goodbye, my people. Peace.